Okay, today we're going to talk about the Ceiling Zapper. Everything about it, how to perk it, how it's used, everything you need to know about the Ceiling Zapper. All right, guys, please, if you love what we're doing here, you love the channel, please support us with our supporter creator code. It really goes a long way to help us keep doing what we're doing. Thank you so much, guys. Okay, so the Ceiling Zapper. This is one of the worst traps in the game, honestly. This one very rarely gets used for a variety of different reasons. One, because it does nature damage, which, again, nature damage really is only, like, amazing or even good against water enemies, which really limits the usefulness of this trap. It's still going to do damage against other stuff, but against fire enemies, this trap is going to be, crippled. It's going to have a massive damage reduction, and against anything that's not water, it's just going to have basic damage. It's not going to have any enhancements. So right off the bat, having an element on a trap is a clear disadvantage, especially since this trap does something very specific, and it's not like you can be like, oh, I want to use the fire version of this trap or the water version of this trap. No, there's just nature. So this has a very specific use and then an even more specific target. So it's very, very rare that this trap will ever get used ever. However, let's talk about how it's good. We know why it's garbage. It's got a really bad cooldown, and it's got a very niche, ability set that it fits into. But let's talk about the good things about the Ceiling Zapper, because there are some good things. This is actually a pretty cool tool to use, and it would be a lot cooler if we had elemental versions of this to use for each different type, because then you could use the right trap for the right job, and that would be really cool, because against water enemies there are some situations where this trap is actually very, very effective. Now, the reload on this is the biggest thing to be aware of. Is the reload's really bad. This is the hardest single target trap. It hits hard, man. This thing hits harder than any other trap in the game. It's really, really hard. You can amplify this by not having any reload speed on this thing, but if you do that, it's going to have a 12-second reload, which is horrific and terrible and will almost always ruin your base. So what I like to do is run with 2 reload speed on it. It lowers the reload down to 6.5. Yes, it's going to heavily limit the top end damage of this trap, but it will make the trap actually functional and shoot on a regular basis and do way, way more overall damage to your enemies. So this is the perk loadout that I always go with all the time. Double damage, double reload with durability. Durability to get, so you have more shots. It doesn't run out of charge as fast. Now there are other options. You don't have to use durability, because it's pretty unlikely that you're going to use up 34 durability, and your durability may change based on your slot bonuses in your survivor squads and whatnot. So durability may not even matter for you. Maybe you want to go with building health, raise the amount of health that the building piece has, so it can take hits from propane tanks a little better. You have some options. The durability is it's not important. There is no really clear important talent to go into that slot, so you really use whatever you want. So now, what makes this trap really unique is the fact that this is the only roof trap, ceiling trap, that can actually shoot through an angled floor. So if you put this underneath an angled floor, the angled floor is covering it up. If it was a gas trap, the gas would not be able to shoot through that angled floor. But the Ceiling Zapper can. The Ceiling Zapper will shoot straight through the angle and hit any enemies that are underneath it, making it very, very effective for creating thick sandwiched walls. You can have a wall with a wall launcher, or a wall with a wall dart, because wall darts are the one other trap in the game that can also shoot through the angled floors, making them very, very effective as a combo with the Ceiling Zapper. Or you can put a wall launcher, and then you put an angled floor, you have the Ceiling Zapper above it, shooting down through the angle. Then you put a floor launcher underneath that, so when the enemies walk in, the Ceiling Zapper will hit them and get hit by the floor launcher, hitting the ramp and shooting them out. Then, in the circumstance that you get overwhelmed and the angled ramp ends up going down, you still have a wall launcher then kicking people out again even more, buying you time to put that ramp back in. So you have this double sandwich effect of defense, plus this big monster trap blasting damage through the ramp from relative safety. That's not going to get hit by propane, or it's going to be relatively safe and relatively protected. So in that way, it's very, very effective. Now keep in mind that the gas trap is the only one that can shoot through shields, killing the little shielder dragons. This one will, when this one shoots, it will hit a shield and you will lose almost all the damage, if not all of the damage. The shield will block the damage completely. So if you're up against shields, electric traps are really bad. They're not good unless it's inside the bubble. It's gonna fizzle out. It's gonna, the damage will be negated really hard. But now the upside to this trap is that this one hits everything underneath it. So this one doesn't have long reaching splash damage or like the Ceiling Zapper. It doesn't have the sustained damage of continuously gassing an area like the gas trap. But this one hits the entire square underneath it with one giant explosion, and it will hit as many enemies as are packed onto that square. So you can easily hit a big group of enemies that all came into the square at the same time, or that were fighting. They were fighting. Your trap fired, and then while it was on cooldown, it was recharging. A bunch of enemies gathered up underneath it and were attacking the wall. All of a sudden, this thing, preps itself, and boom! It drops a bomb and hits everything. So it's a very, very big explosion of damage, hitting a lot of enemies and doing a lot of damage. This thing hits hard. So in that way, it's really, really good. If you were actually fighting water enemies, this is a heavy duty damage trap. This one hits hard, really, really hard. So it's super effective. And different ways that you can utilize this is to have this as a backline defense. So you have a bunch of gas traps on the front line that are killing off all the shields and weakening all the enemies, killing off all the little guys, and that way only the big guys get through and get to be confronted by the Ceiling Zapper, so that the big explosion actually has all of its damage realized and utilized. It does boom, and it hits, it doesn't get its bad cooldown doesn't get wasted on one little tiny mini zombie running in and triggering the trap. If you can actually kill all the small stuff and have this as a backline defense at the core of your base, taking pot shots at the big guys, this trap is actually quite powerful. So there are some definite advantages to using this trap. There's some ways to really make the most of it and utilize it. You could even, if you had it at the very, very back line and you knew that it was only going to get action once in a very long time, you could choose to go with a crit rate, crit damage, reload build. That one will give you it'll make it a little slower. The reload won't be as good, but you'll do a lot more damage. Or you could just go all in and be like, I don't care, I'm gonna have a 12-second cooldown. The only thing that's ever gonna get close enough to this trap is gonna be a smasher or a husky, and I want it to hit as hard as it can. And if you want it to hit as hard as you can, then you want to go with the damage, crit rate, crit damage build, and that is the hardest that you can possibly hit with this trap. But keep in mind, it has a horrible 12-second reload, which if it ever gets triggered by a small enemy, you're gonna just cry. So I don't recommend that one, but it is funny to see that upper tier damage. If you want to see how hard this trap can really hit, if you can go and use that build against water enemies and watch it hit a smasher, you'll see what real damage actually looks like, because this thing just devastate. So anyway, guys, I really hoped you liked the review of this one. I've been asked to talk about this one quite a bit because it doesn't really get a lot of attention, being that it's not really it's not a versatile, highly used trap, so it doesn't get a lot of play. But thank you so much to my Twitch chat for asking me to do this review and giving me all the commentary. I stream for over 18 hours a day, every single day with no days off ever. We stream 81-hour marathons every single weekend with the help of my wife. So we are here all the time on Twitch, guys, all day, every day. So come and hang out, man. Come hang out, help us grow, help us get our numbers up, help us make a real mark on this community, and be a part of the VASH Corps. Thank you so much for the support, guys. You guys are amazing. And yeah, make sure you like and subscribe, leave a thumbs up, ring that little bell, comment down below, and let me know what you think of this trap. Do you actually use this trap? Is it something that you would be interested in using now that you understand how to utilize it? I'm really curious to see what you guys' thoughts on this one are, because I really don't use this trap that much, and you know, I'd like to be exposed to new ideas and see what other people are doing. So anyway, guys, thank you so much. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Hey guys, we're out here all day, every day, chasing our dream and trying to build this community. If you love what we're doing here and you support the dream, and if you have the means to actually donate and contribute to what we're doing here, I would really love for you guys to come out and support us on Patreon. It's the lifeblood of any content creator. It's the only reason that that we're staying afloat and able to do what we're doing here. And if you have the means, I would love for you to come out and support us and yeah, help us keep doing what we're doing. Thank you so much, guys.